Welcome to Beyond the Buzz, where curiosity meets clarity. I'm Dr. Tara Morrows, scientist and communicator with decades of experience translating complex human research into clear, evidence-informed insight. This episode looks at microplastics, tiny plastic particles that have been detected in the human body. That can sound alarming, but detection is not the same as knowing what it means for your health. The real question is this. When you hear that microplastics are in blood, tissue, or other samples, what should you actually take from that? Let's take a closer look together, starting with what's driving the buzz. Microplastics are now part of a much bigger public conversation about exposure, testing, and health risk. Part of the buzz comes from blood testing studies showing microplastic particles in human blood. In one study, particles were detected in about 9 out of 10 participants, with an average of about 4 particles per milliliter of blood. That kind of result helps explain why blood detection gets noticed. There is also a growing market around finding and measuring these particles. The global microplastic detection market was valued at over $5 billion in 2025, and it is projected to grow to over $9 billion by 2034. So the buzz is understandable. When a topic shows up in human blood testing and in a growing testing market, it is worth asking what those messages do and do not tell us. Let's check the evidence. Our kind of receipt check. This is the moment to pause and ask the questions that matter. What's the evidence? What's the source? And how do we know? Here's what the evidence shows. First, microplastics have been detected in human samples, including blood, urine, stool, lung tissue, breast milk, semen, and the placenta. One review also reported microplastics in 8 of 10 human organ systems reviewed, including cardiovascular, digestive, respiratory, reproductive, and urinary systems. So the detection question is real. Microplastics have been found in the human body. But detection raises other questions. Do particles build up over time? How much leaves the body? And how long might particles stay? Current human evidence does not yet answer those questions clearly. That leads to exposure. How might microplastics be getting into the body in the first place? Reviews describe several possible routes, including food and water, air and dust, and possible skin contact. One review, focused on exposure, concluded that indoor air, food, and water all contribute to intake, with indoor settings and what people ingest playing important roles. The harder question is what detection means for health. A 2026 systematic review, a study that pulls together the available research on a topic, looked at human studies that measured microplastics or even smaller nanoplastics in the body and examined possible links with health markers or health outcomes across several body systems. It reported links with inflammation and other health-related changes, but the studies used different methods and had limits that make cause and effect hard to prove. A 2024 review concluded that microplastic exposure raises concern for digestive, reproductive, and respiratory health. But much of that evidence came from animal studies. Animal studies can help scientists explore possible biological effects, but they do not tell us exactly what happens in people. The review included only 3 human observational studies, meaning studies that can look for links but cannot prove cause and effect. So the evidence supports concern and more research, but not simple claims that one test result can predict one person's future health risk. So why does this resonate? Because microplastics can make ordinary choices feel less ordinary. A water bottle, a takeout container, a food wrapper, a plastic cutting board, things that used to feel normal can suddenly feel questionable. And because the particles are invisible, people are left trying to judge risk without being able to see the thing they are worried about. That is where testing can feel appealing. A number seems like it might bring certainty. But the harder question is not only, can we measure it? It is, what does that measurement mean? And what can I reasonably do about it? Your evidence edit moment. So what's the takeaway? Microplastics are detectable in humans, and possible health risks deserve attention, but personal risk is not settled by a single test. The evidence does not support dismissing the issue as imaginary because human detection has been reported across tissues and fluids. It also does not support treating every headline, test, or product claim as a direct measure of personal danger. Because exposure may come through food, water, air, and dust, it is understandable to want to reduce it. But current evidence cannot tell us how much difference specific household changes make to someone's total exposure or health. Choosing to use less plastic, especially when the change is simple and low cost, can still be a reasonable precaution. The important distinction is that this is a precautionary choice, not a proven way to prevent disease. So the goal is not perfect control. It is proportionate choices, better questions, and less fear-driven decision-making. Detection matters, but meaning is the real receipt check. Something to reflect on. When you see a microplastics claim, what question are you being asked to answer? Is it detectable? Is it harmful? Or what can I reasonably do with this information? If you found this useful, follow Beyond the Buzz and share it with a friend who likes a little science with their scroll. You can also explore the full transcript, the clarity poll, and evidence in the evidence edit. Until next time, stay curious and stay kind to your mind. This is Beyond the Buzz, cutting through the hype because evidence is empowering.